for sure. They've been playing so well in some of these Cash Cups, and specifically, I like this duo because of the strategies that they are actually able to implement, specifically early game Storm Surge strategies when it comes to collecting a bunch of extra shield, so that way they can take some of those early tags and just kind of trade them back, so that way they can get to end games consistently.
Oh yeah, they placed 8th last season, but this season they have shown that they have got so many victory royales this chapter for weekly finals, and I really believe that they have something to prove, and I honestly think they will in these games to come.
One last duo to talk about here, veterans like Cease. It is Yamzo and Rise. I mean, I feel like there's a lot of respect on this duo, but considering them international status, is that where we could place them?
Yeah, I really think so, and I think this might be the season where we actually see them qualify to Globals. The only thing that kind of worries me about this duo is that they're so good at playing low ground, but unfortunately for them, so are Acorn and Cold, and that's probably where we'll actually see Acorn and Cold most of the day, and fighting that duo for low ground is so tough. So I still think Yamza Rai have a great chance when it comes to actually breaking top 3.
I agree, and I do think, too, it is good to point out Yamza and Rise and Acorn and Cold are the only 2 duos that have top 25 of 100% of their weekly final games. So I really think, if there's a challenge to go, they're head and head. Like, we're going to keep our eyes on them to see which one wins.
Absolutely, and before we walk away here, this bottom right half of the map is looking scary, okay?
Oh,
yeah.
This is going to be something we're focused on here in the competition. And just think, that was only like 6 duos we've highlighted here.
Crazy.
There are so many more duos, so many high-caliber duos we'll be watching compete this very weekend. Now, speaking of high-caliber duos, we've got another one. It's Jacob PR and Monster D-Face.
Man, that was an introduction.
Say word. We get to come back. It's finals week. You know what the vibes are, Zeke.
It was good to see you guys. Welcome. Grand Finals here in North America. We've made it. I feel like there's a lot of expectations coming into North America.
The truth is, last week the bar was raised. Storm Surge in particular was a factor, but not as much as we thought. The week was great. I know this weekend's going to be even better.
Yeah, and everybody talking and yapping, Acorn and Cold this, Acorn and Cold that. But there's a duo that's been on my radar. It's a duo that won 3 games back to back to end yesterday's Duo Cash Cup. That's Baka and Pars, but I'm also just a fan of NA West.
Yeah, I'm going to have to stick with Acorn and Cold. I am looking for a show. I just want to see all of the goodness that you guys can do right now.
When it comes to me, I'm looking ahead. I'm looking towards international events. I'm looking towards globals. I want to see who kicks off, these first 6 games going into the MAR to actually finalize it, to make sure that they can make it that high caliber event.
Really quickly, do you guys have a duo that to you stands out? Is that Acorn Cold? Is that someone else?
I mean, listen, my boys Kanata and Angels, I know you're contested, but I've seen some stats. Contested teams are not always out of the picture. I'm going for them.
Yeah, with the combined regions, there's about like 5-6 teams that stand out, but I'm going to continue NA West, that former region, Baka and Pars, they're one to watch out for.
You don't even got to ask me. You already know.
There you go.
Acorn and Cold.
It is that time. Acorn and Cold, are they the ones? That's what we're here to find out. But we are ready to go, and we hope all of you are as well. This is it. One of the biggest moments for North America. It happens right here. It starts with game number 1.
Well, you heard it there first. It starts with game number 1. North America gets the kickoff here and now for the day 1, the finale. All, of course, setting up for the Global Championship.
If you believe that first 4 weeks of play, 3 weeks into Surge Week, was any bit of excitement, well, guess what? Stand up and get ready, because this finals is going to be one to remember. And thank God, everybody at home, that it is underway. Game number 1, Monster, starts right now.
It sure does. Couple teams being contested. We already know the numbers are up for them. Kanata Agers being one of the few. That's going to be the team that I want to bring my focus to, hopefully, out the gate here. If, of course, the teams decide to go in and take that fight. You see on screen, though, Batman Booga, Bacon, big boys from the West here coming in, representing.
Yeah, this is a huge changeup as well, because they thought they were going to get contested by Smallzy and Diego Plays. This is like a sigh of relief for them. Free loot. We can kind of get the game underway, but this monster is what you were waiting for.
Well, welcome to the grand finals of the FNCS Major 2. We get to kick it off with a bang here. Kanata's going to be the first touchdown. Find himself a little weapon. You can hear the shots bringing out already. Listen, Sprite on the other side, he's an experienced player. He's been in these types of fights in the past, but now talking about tier 1 caliber of an opponent here to go against, you can see what it's all about. Kanata and Aegis handle business.
Yeah, game number 1 already proven to be exciting with Kanata and Aegis setting the pace. And for Kanata, this means so much. He qualified to every single grand finals, but has yet to win the big one. This could be the weekend for him, and the implications means global championship.
We saw a lot from On1 and Zypha this weekend. Storm Surge was an exciting one for this duo here. On1 loves to fight. He's also exceptional at taking these types of battles. Look at how he's moving in on Zuki's right here.
Slowly but surely, you call it yourself one of the best box fighters here on the region. Kind of pick him first when you play the draft. The shot's going to fire through, but that's not going to slow down neither Zypha or On1 as they bulldoze their way in and take down Zukis.
Not only that, hit the emote, get the laugh, get him out of here. The replay, though, look at he touches down, finds the aftershock, and slides on up. Big pumps hit down. Just like that, it's all over.
Yeah, Landrock got that Havoc, just wasn't really able to kind of put it to use. And you can see Trashy and Pump over here, a little bit of contestation coming out, and now already there's one elimination on the backside of Pump. That's Jack, who did go down, and instead of looking for Qual, they're just immediately trying to gain that height just in case he ran away. But sooner or later, they might know he's down there.
That is right. And listen, Trash and Pump have the most victory royales from low ground positions than any other duo right now. They are literally in the lead. You're talking about a team that is now fully healthy in a 2-on-1 situation. Qual has to hide out. But notice he slips out the back here. I don't even think they realize he's gone just yet, and he should be able to slide out of here safely.
Yep. You can see the slap juices coming into play for both Trashy and Pump. Just kind of get as much as you can off your drop. And it's just the only question is, did he get the reboot card onto Jock? As Qual does look like he is going to be able to get away overall as we jump on board the drop spot of both Yamzo and Rise. And Rise, you can see he's left by himself, but he's no stranger to being put into these positions.
Rise is an absolute favorite as well. You see him hit the quick knot. Doesn't even give his opponent time to go ahead and situate there. He's going to finish up Nick, and Nick's there for a quick cleanup. Brings back Yamzo, but Yamzo tagged on the way down here. Yamzo is a type of player that when it comes down to finals lobbies, pros have had this rumbling about themselves, saying, hey, listen, he's had a hard time stepping up when it matters most. But Rise is on the opposite side of the conversation. This man has an accolade and a resume that really speaks for itself.
Yeah, and their consistency is insane. Even though they did miss out on 1 week through the first 3 weekly finals, they placed top 25 in every single one. And that goes to show, even in past seasons when they were contested, that as long as they get a chance to play, they're a contender in each and every one of their games.
Well, listen, Acorn, congratulations, signing to Team Dignitas. He says he wants to be the first, while under the banner, to bring home an FNCS championship. See Cold rocking alongside him. These guys are truly the tier 1 GOATs right now on the North American scene here. They've really been putting up the numbers. I mean, they're on a first place streak. It's hard to not conversate about them.
Yeah, and can you believe the way they dominated last season's FNCS finals? They've been taking that same momentum and continuing it into this one. But you said Acorn wants to be the first one to bring home a championship to Dignitas. Well, Bugha's right here, and he has something to say about that.
I mean, he has to, right? Now alongside Man City's Threats, Threats has had quite the year. I didn't expect to see Threats actually earn his way on up to stand alongside a literal S-caliber style of player, which is, of course, Bugha. Bugha has nothing to prove to anyone. Yeah. I mean, he's already standing true, one of the best. I think there was a time and place where season after season he was counted out, but, you know, he quickly changed that narrative post-World Cup. But let's hop on over to Vert. Vert, one of the few who, of course, has dabbled in cross-regional play, right? Not many can say that. And he's been at the top of his game lately. He's with Rokane, another veteran.
Yeah, and definitely these guys just need to find that way to get consistent here on the lobby, because we know their pop-off moments are absolutely insane, and this format in the finals allows for those pop-off moments. Instead of the normal 2 points per elimination that you were getting for the weekly finals, it's now 4 points per elimination. So now that big risk comes with a big reward, and Vert, anytime he gets aggressive, that's going to be something he's looking out for.
It's really crazy how much the dynamic of Fortnite play has turned, right, into, especially in the recent seasons. You have, of course, the kinetic blades. pushing an opponent is faster than ever. With red dots being introduced into the round of competition play as well, you really have this opening weapon, this rifle that you can hit a player from any distance, but now you can also close that distance gap. The game is faster than ever, and I feel like we're seeing that even now in the player pool in general. We kick things off pretty quickly. The elimination feed was lighting up.
It's like Dignitas all over the lobby, but Ritual and TK contested over on this side as well. It's probably Smite and Larson over on the outside. And honestly, I like this. They're feeling each other out. They're not just fighting right out of the gates. They're giving each other, or giving themselves, I should say, a chance to really show what they've been working on week in, week out. But since they're kind of splitting the loot and they're going their separate paths, they have to figure out where they're going to get the Surge and the rest of the loot in their arsenal. Because right now, having a Havoc is good, but having a common Havoc isn't the best one that you can have.
Yep, that's right. Here we have, of course, Bully Bean and Lyzix here, just eyeing out the competition, looking out for anyone in the distance. Like we talked about, the dynamic of Fortnite, of course, now revolves around having this red dot. It's all about positioning yourself into locations that you can farm your Storm Surge early, which means get that damage up so you're not the victim of damage later from the game's mechanics.
Yeah, especially it allows you, if you do get that far zone pull, it allows you to focus on that rotation rather than, am I going to get Surge? Am I going to rotate? You fall back behind a lot of the other teams, but one that I'm looking forward to, high hopes, Muzz and Degen. Muzz, he's won an FNCS on 2 different regions. Now imagine he wins the inaugural one with the combined regions. That is accolade on top of accolade for someone like him.
Very few have the resume Muzz can boast here. Degen, of course, has some great big title wins under his belt as well. Of course, some of the underneath some of the bigger third-party tracks. But hold up, let's hop on over to Cease. We had the conversation with him. We had him up for an interview here. Cease, he says he has a feeling like he had during the World Cup days. Can you imagine sitting in his seat right now, partner behind you, like you're in the same room, you're in the zone right now. Mentality and the mental state of competition, being in the right state of mind is so important. Cease is there. I think this is a dark horse.
Yeah, I think this is a team that has all the potential in the world, so kind of hitting the nail on the head there, especially with Tragics. He plays almost every single event. He plays the Collegiate Cups. He go ahead and test the waters against so many different opponents, but what that does is allows you to see so many different scenarios, so when a fight does break down, maybe it's something you don't necessarily expect, you're going to be prepared. And you can see them splitting up Brutal Bastion. On one side, they're trying to set up for Surge, and on the other one, Aviv and Skittles, they already have the key to that ball.
Now, what's crazy is what we're looking at are tons of players inside the zone. Now more than ever, the way Fortnite plays out, especially when there's a vault in play, people will sit around and heal, stay inside the storm for as long as possible, try to optimize their loot. And you can see even right here, Aviv and Skittles not looking the greatest with material count and stuff like that, but they do have the time on their side. But let's get to the zone. Let's get somewhere safe. It looks like there's a battle potentially breaking out between Nolensy and Crew here.
Yeah, you're seeing a lot of the new flare guns popping off, just making sure that they know where those opponents are at. Typically, you do see people save it for later on in the end game so you don't get surprised at any single turn, but using it early allows you to find that perfect rotation, to find where a lot of these players are at, so you can either go ahead, try to hold them back for Surge, or you can just go directly to the center zone.
And it really does show you the difference of dynamic. What you would normally see, you save the flare gun, not in finals. Finals, there's a problem nearby. Let's just make sure what this problem's looking like. And also, when you spot a team out, I mean, sometimes that's just enough to fend them off. Say, hey, look, they know exactly where we're at. Maybe this is not worth taking this battle.
Yeah, I just kind of had a question mark pop before my eyes. Elige doesn't have any variation of a shotgun in hand, so interesting to see how that one plays out. But back on board, Vert and Rokane. You kind of talked about the possibility for them to pop off, get a little bit aggressive. Right now, it does look like they're testing the waters. That's Seek and Lawrence on the other side. And they have the advantage. They have that little bit of height, but even a little bit of height makes a big difference.
I know Seek's been a free agent for quite some time. Lawrence, of course, being a recent sign, is the limit. Rocking with this crew right here. I like this duo. This is a very young duo, a duo that has had tons of FNCS finals experience. But again, being in these lobbies, it's nothing new to them. How high, how far can they push that boundary? We'll find out here soon, but let's get into a battle. This is one that's going to conclude. If I had to put my money on it, Larson right now seemingly is on the, I would say, the losing side, although they're pushing back. Look at all the opponent builds. They have higher health pools. NPen and Polarized, the more experienced duo, seems to have it under control right now.
Yep, all the way from Kenjutsu Crossing, where it's kind of uncontested over there. Not a lot of chance for Storm Surge, which leaves Polarized and NPen hunting for it. But with the amount of kinetic blades you are going to get on that side of the map, mobility is not going to be a problem as they get in box-to-box. That is User, that is Larson on the other side. User and Larson, they've competed at the FNCS Invitational, and let me tell you, Monster, you saw it as well as I did. They shocked everybody in attendance over and over with those off-spawn exchanges.
Larson, and on land, right? On land was one of the few that was putting up those numbers when no one expected it. And you know what? When the competition ended, they were up there inside that top 10. They were up there as one of the few that absolutely came out and showed up when it mattered most. Of course, you know, taking home the bag is always nice as well. So lucky for us, we get to celebrate in those moments. But hold up, Pamstu, Fatch, Acorns down, Cold is here. I have to assume this is a one-on-one right now, but no, Pamstu is here too. It's a 2-on-1. Pamstu's already breaking this thing down. Cold's coming in for the battle.
Wow, Cold with a monster shot on a Fatch. Everything comes crashing down. That was Pamstu trying to think outside of the box, but Cold is 2 steps ahead of the competition. And another big shot coming out from Cold. This is the first test that we're seeing here in the finals.
You are seeing why this is an FNCS champion, one who is active in the field right now. Cold putting up the defensive measures against, again, a favorite. Pamstu and Fatch, teams that have traveled across the world to position themselves to be in the most hyper-competitive environment, so they have the best odds here on the stage. If Fatch and Pamstu can overcome and fully wipe out Cold, I mean, this might be one of the few chances they get to.
Yep. Rift Island is now spawning up, and everybody here close by, including all 3 of our competitors, has that decision. Do I disengage, go for Rift Island? Cold's probably thinking, do I disengage and try to get Acorn back? First usage of the Connect Blade's going to come through. You can see in the mini-map, nobody's really looking his way. I think Cold has just committed a heist.
There is one, though, in the distance is Lyzux there. Remember, they were playing those bushes and looking around for an opportunity to find tags, and they find a first couple onto Cold. Cold now has to weigh his decision here. He goes into the augments. He finds himself the flare gun. Okay, this is big. Again, these information, you know, being able to gather that information right here is extremely important. It can do wonders for you and your environment.
Especially if you have Acorn as an IGL that can focus on just IGLing. Re and Epic, well, fan favorites. You can see their loot already. They have those Mythic Havoc pumps all the way from Mega City, but they want more. They want those pulse rifles at the top of Rift Island, and if anybody dare contest them, they have to be careful.
The scariest part, we all know how good Re is. You're going to give him a pulse rifle this early? Not a soul in sight looking to contest the island? This is so different compared to last weekend's Surge Week, right? The weekend that we saw Surge Week, there were 4 or 5 teams hustling their way on over to these islands. Not now. You respect it. Tier 1 duos up there, you give it to them.
Yeah, it's a huge risk here in the finals. You kind of saw it very, very similarly over on the EU region, to where in those first early games, there weren't as many teams contesting that Rift Island to go for it until later on in the game, as Casker's Clarity slowly being surveyed by Nounsy and ZZ. Is this an opportunity they could take advantage of as Casker escapes? A couple of shots are going to land. His shields get broken, and this is going to be a great opportunity for them to try to close the distance.
Opens it up with 110 tag, decides, hey, we're above the surge, eases up on the pedal. I'm not sure if I'm in full agreement with the disengage, but hey, getting into a prime position is equally important, and for them, they're okay with this. But look, the numbers already adjusting, right? This is why you have to think about whether or not, hey, should we have finished that fight?
That was closing the distance. The play is Cold. He did get Acorn back at least once. That's going to be Miro, who does go down. Instead of going and getting greedy just to pick up that elimination, it's going to be a double res from both of those teams. Cooper and Mero is the team just a little bit north.
And let's just give a huge, huge round of applause. Cold steps into the storm, saves his teammate, gets pushed by another duo in Coop and Mero, and then defends them successfully as well. Now tries to escape here. Can he get to the heels in time? He does just get there. That was so close, but again, they are back in like they never left, all because Cold was willing to fight for it.
I'm getting that feeling of deja vu. It takes me back to the FNCS Invitational again, and that's what all these players are fighting for. Of course, the prize money, the Axe of Champions, but there is 3 spots up for grabs for the Global Championship at the end of the year.
That is true. Here's Pumpin' Trashy, also just on the heels of getting themselves into the new zone here. And the feed, Batman Booba finds himself a nice little elimination and the cleanup there, but Pumpin' Trashy are rotating. They have plenty of loot out here to work with, and okay, things are going to settle down right now. A little mat split between Trashy and Pump as they start to situate themselves.
It's another team right here. The consistency is just out of this world. Kind of in my predictions to get top 10 here. I know they're fighting for that #1 spot, or at least the top 3. They rotate neck and neck right next to Cease and Tragics, another team nearby as well. This is going to be the congested side of the zone. We keep pulling south, we keep pulling west. So eventually, one of these players is going to have to think outside of the box and how to get ahead of all of it.
Everyone working the same way. Casker just finds himself Nowsy, walks into a barreling big shot there on the other side. Casker's gonna be happy about this one. He's gonna pick up CZ and the teammate. So that is fully done now. And the refresh is nice, that's welcomed. But the zone's hustling them on over. We're getting to that point of the game. We're getting to the late stages now.
Yep, where every mistake, every step you take is gonna be watched like a hawk. And talk about a duo right here, both of them coming from Elite, Quanti and Peterbot. Another team, when you watch them throughout the weekly finals, performing high standards, but right now they're below the damage threshold when it comes to Storm Surge. It isn't much, but Peterbot knows with his back up against the wall, he's ready to perform at a moment's notice. And you can see, though, he's not just getting greedy, he's not just going for the shots, he immediately takes that height over the team and starts to look off into the distance.
This is crazy. Your options, bar none, difficult. Like, you have Pamstone Fats, Trashy below you, in the distance, a whole duo. Rise right there, and then on one. A player you do not want a box fight right now. Peterbot is in a world of trouble. It's not looking good for Quanti either. And they're going to try to sit this one out and heal it. Is there a chance to fight back? Doesn't quite seem like anything's opening up just yet.
And the worst thing here is they're separated. Quanti all the way down low in the mud. Peterbot, the tower high in the sky, but it doesn't matter for either one of them because they're just taking tick after tick, damage after damage. 21 below. Quanti looks like he's on his last breath.
Just in time to save Quanti. Quanti was a tag away from getting sent back out to the lobby, but just like that, Peterbot finds a quick two-piece, and that keeps him in the round here, but the zone's now moving. Quanti has nothing, so if Quanti hasn't ran already, that's game, so yeah, he's already cutting loose. What a tough position to be in.
Yeah, if it wasn't Storm Surge, it wasn't the other teams in the lobby, it's definitely not wanting to go down to the zone, pulling you in. Even though there's only 40 left, at least give something for Quanti to work with, but that goes to show Peterbot and Quanti almost have no other choice. They need a siphon. They need a refresh, or their game might not last that much longer.
Way to play for it as well. You know, he could have easily healed himself, but he's selfless, or selfishly did not do that. He ends up supporting his teammate. Now it's up to Cold right here. Or, of course, sorry, Acorn to put Cold on his back as he's lost his teammate.
Done to show that it's not all about Cold. The IGL makes some big plays too. Paper gets boxed up, trapped towards the low ground, barely able to escape on the tail end. Acorn not really peeking for the shot, but eventually he's going to have to do something. 45 below the damage threshold. He's continuously trying to hold height over both Paper and Shadow.
And he pulls zone as well. The happen comes all the way to him. He is completely safe right here. The shot's coming from the distance, and this is what a professional player will do. He's going to go in and give himself a little bit of space, change the layer up as well, just to keep eyes on the team just below him. And with excellent style, he is now not only safe, but has time to bounce back and get healthy.
Yeah. Acorn. A couple of seconds here for him to try to stabilize his position. He too, just like Quanti and Peterbot, who I did see go down in the feed, needs some sort of refresh. He needs something to keep himself going, but as a solo, it's not going to be the easiest thing. It's exactly how Cold went down. That's TK versus Ritual. It's just going to be a trade between the two, as TK is just probably scrounging to try to get the shots, goes down the Storm altogether, as Acorn stands tall. 8 points so far, he's looking for more.
Well, luckily they both did a tag. They both got credits for the eliminations, and that's going to be 2 points. Those are extremely important. But look, Court, whoa, gives up high ground because he sees loot down low and jumps on top of it. I don't know if it was completely worth it. He realizes, wait, that's only 50 brick. Are you kidding me? To spot that out. Now he gives up the best position where he could have gotten the tags that he needs here, but he sees more heals in the distance. Instead of going for those slap juice, he says, I need to get to height and I need to get there now. And on up he comes right on back. What a play.
Yeah, it just shows that even though there's loot, even though it's a necessity for him to try to get anything that he can, yeah, he's not getting greedy. And that's exactly why we call him one of the best IGLs of all of Fortnite. And I expect that to reign true. It's 12 games throughout the weekend, 6 today and 6 tomorrow, as Kanata and Agers poised to have a great game. You saw them win their off-spawn exchange over towards the racetrack, and they extended 2 more eliminations after that.
When you talk about some of the best, you got to put Kanata in that conversation. It's been years since he's fallen outside of the top 10, by the way. Check his resume. Look at his history. This man performs, contested or not, but let's get back to Vert here. Let's get to this conversation. He's below the surge. He has to take a fight. They get in, they clean it up quickly, and just like that, it is over. Now, 52 players remain here, 30 duos. Things are starting to look very choppy here. This is the end game. You can imagine the stress is put on the lobby right now. It must be so hard to even navigate this here.
I know, I got scared for a moment. You hear it in the distance. You see it there on screen. The pulse rifles from both Reet and Epicwell going and firing off so much, but Acorn down on Storm Surge, tries to make a miracle happen, but he gets caught out. And that's Baka there that can kind of clean up all that loot, and that was one of my worries seeing it here. Epicwell and Reet down on Storm Surge, but I think they just sacrificed the early game Surge to make sure they got both the Vault and the overclock pulse rifles.
That's right. Now they find themselves in a great position here to play off of, but you open that window, you get tagged. Reet's gonna get punished here. Remember, they do have, like you said, those pulse rifles. This is the weapon for high ground. Like, you are in the best position to play for height when you have this. You have everything in your power to do so. They're just teetering on the safety line and the danger zone for Epicwell and Reet. I mean, they have to find something, have to find it now.
See him looking off into the distance. Not really finding anything that he's comfortable with, and as soon as he tries to rotate from point A to point B, all his shields, his HP goes down. 3 HP before getting that mini off. A huge moment for Reet, trying to stay alive. He only has a couple of seconds to work with. 91 below the damage threshold. Him or Epicwell need to land a monster of a shot on that team below him, and they only have a few seconds to make it work.
Reet's trying to trust in Epic to do it, but Epic doesn't find anything. Now it's up to Reet here, just moments away there. The shot comes in, even better for the opponents. They're gonna get an elimination credit, and it's up to Epicwell by himself, but I have to assume they're gonna be taken out here shortly. Let's pan on over the high ground, though. We have Jamper up top right now. Of course, we saw Jamper switch up his duo, try something new for the new season. Looks like it's going well for Game 1.
Yeah, this is honestly, I love his outlook as well. He's a huge fan of competition. He was talking about it on social media, watching EU, getting himself pumped and ready to go for the NA Finals, and already with 2 elimination points, the placement points as well, Bugha and Threads, in almost a very, very same scenario, but instead of flying high through the sky, they're one of the teams that is trying to take over the low ground.
Well, I've seen all the predictions. I've seen the list. I've seen the top 5s. Bugha and Threats are up there somewhere in that mix as teams to perform well. Take a look at Bugha. This is where he begins to do best. It's these end games. Bryson Chubbs are one of the other teams on the other side of the barrel here. They're trying to go ahead and fight back. They're 62 above the Surge too. There's still about 10 players that have to fall here. A lot of players are still somehow surviving right now.
Yeah, and you're actually seeing why. Everybody is saving the flare gun till the end of the game. Rotating. They're trying to make it as easy as possible, but they're just trying to gather that information. The Quinton breaks through, but he goes down altogether. Neto, he is trying to make something happen. He has no heals. He's peeked through the wall. One shot's going to get landed, but it's not going to be enough to get the knock. But he has to continue on. He needs a refresh, though. He has no mats, no heals, nothing other than a trick up his sleeve, or at least I hope.
This is a tough spot to be in. You're by yourself. Players everywhere. You see dudes zipping around. And what do? You run for your life. That's what Soneto's trying to figure out right here. And he is just playing through the builds here. Very dangerous game he's playing in, and there it is. He finally gets taken out. Finally, Jamper also gets target off a height. It's Muzz and DGen who was waiting for them, and now they capitalize. We wanted to see if Muzz can step up when it mattered. DGen's here to back him up. They're hurt.
Yeah, that stealth pistol, just making sure if you land a shot, you mark him for a couple of seconds. That's what DGen's going to use, knowing that he's not getting contested. That gives him the confidence to try to hold on to the high ground. But how long can you hold on to it with teams like Yamzo and Rise still in the lobby? Kanata and Agers dropping down low to ultimate low ground. They have no match, so that was the best play they could have made at this scenario.
One of the few teams just tearing it up right now, but they let their guard down. Shots coming from above, and Agers is down. Kanata is now by himself. He is also Mr. Pump when he's got it in his hands. He's hitting big shots here, and now he's up and running. Kinetic Blade to find himself back to the storm here, and just like that, he's still in the running.
Yep, solo clutches at Kanata. Name a better duo coming out. This is a monster moment for him, because if he makes big plays, that's confidence. But Yamzo and Rise towards the top, they go down all together, as Kanata still trying to keep his run intact. On the other side, that's Death to Tahi knocking on his door, as Kanata is not answering. He just completely rotates on out, repositions himself, because he has more left in the tank.
Know what they say, Jacob? Let him cook. He's here. He breaks his way into this top 15. He has a chance to do something big right now, but hold up. Duke, Edgy, down low. 4 elims as well, looking very, very solid here still, holding on to those flares. But hold up. Let's get back to it now, but no, Kanata gets caught. 7 eliminations, though. He does end up wrecking it. Panther brings it to top 5, and User is finding a chance here to continue to earn some more.
Casker's Clarity trying to do it as well. They have 5 eliminations, and they're one of the few duos still left in the lobby, but under pressure from all angles, and they both get dropped, sent back all together. And this is Paper and Shadow. He saw him in an interview early on. As long as they can keep their chemistry intact, they're going to be one of the teams to look out for, and already proven that to be true.
Using a rail, of course, to break everything as well. Shadow is just tearing up things right here. Paper is here as well, still alive. The zone's going to cook him just a little bit. Duke down low, clears things out, finds Paper there, and all of a sudden they find the refresher that they need. They have some mats to finally make a platform here to work with. The edit comes through, Edgy's down, Paper, Duke. Oh no, it's all exchanges here. It's User from nowhere at 6 elims now, and Muz is the only one on the other side, and he hits the shot, Jacob. He closes things.
I forgot about Degen and Muz, but that's because they were smooth sailing on the high ground zone after zone. As soon as they were able to solidify it, they held on to it, and you can see one's healing at the top, the other one dropped down low to get the elimination.
Going tit for tat there in the end game, back and forth like a little game of tug of war. You didn't really know who had the strength to pull through, but Muz, when you close your eyes, when you looked away, he was the player there to back it up. Take a look at how Degen was putting down those tags. You talked about this weapon in particular. It tags your opponents. It gives you all the info.
Yep, all the information in the world. You can see already Muz dropping down low. That's going to be their 4th elimination and that victory royale. This is game number 1. How you start means so much because it's momentum and confidence going into the rest of the day.
It's exactly that. This is where the pressure starts to make diamonds. For us here, that's going to be wraps. We have a whole competition to cast. Let's get to it.
Thank you guys so much. Jacob used the word momentum. That is what these duos are looking to hit the ground running with. Now, that was just game 1. We have 5 more today, and of course 6 tomorrow. But for Degen and Muz, this is how they want to start the competition.
Yeah, I mean, a little bit of a home zone as well, pulling all the way over to Shattered Slab. So, you know, that added benefit of landing over there, able to kind of build up to that high ground early on, get some Storm Surge. But honestly, only having 1 elimination going into some of those moving zones and still having a plethora of builds left to keep maintaining that high ground led them to that victory royale.
They were definitely keeping their eye on those builds. They were moving through builds, saying like picking up the slack of everybody else's eliminations, and you know they didn't initially go for that height, so I think they were very patient and took it just in time. So letting everybody on the low ground fight it out, but inevitably they made it work. Height, taking height, getting the shots right, and jumping down when they needed to, David.
Yeah, exactly. Jumping down when they needed to is also like the pivotal point, right? Making sure that they kind of both just kept applying the pressure. And Jacob called out, he was like, oh my gosh, I forgot about Degen and Muz. Forgot about height almost entirely because there was so much action going on down in the low ground, and they kind of just like didn't even involve themselves until it was finding that 2v1 situation, close it out, clean.
Chaos is reigning supreme here on NA. Let's take a look at our standings. I want to see if we can look to maybe refine some of that going into later games, but after that first game, Degen and Muz, they will sit at the top with the Victory Royales. Now, friends, I know in EU, if you guys had a chance to watch, eliminations were a very big chunk of the points, obviously being 4 points per elimination. Yet we haven't really seen, like right here on the front page, the highest is 7, right? Do we expect to see NA get maybe a little more aggressive, look to find those eliminations as the competition continues to go on?
Yeah, I think so, and it's going to be big for some of these big-name teams like Kanata and Aegir. 7 eliminations, and 2 of those coming from All Spawn, unfortunately being contested, but the fact that they're already up 1, you know, Zeke mentioned it, momentum. So if they can continue winning Off Spawn, they could do very, very well because they would be a favored duo to, like, win the whole thing if they weren't contested. So if they can kind of flip that coin and just go, like, 6-0 Off Spawn, we could see them at the top of the leaderboard all day.
Yeah, and I do think they definitely have that ability to make it even later in the game. He just kind of got stuck in a little sticky situation there, but it happens. I think, too, you know, Aegir's going down, leaving him as a solo. Obviously have that being not ideal, but I think, too, again, like, if they can win Off Spawn, make it late in endgame, we're going to see the points stacking up. More eliminations, all of them.
Yeah, all of the eliminations. That's what we want to see. Do remember, there is consistency that will also play a factor. Edgy as well, there with Duke, sitting in that 4th place spot. They do look to have pretty strong start here, ending the day, or rather, starting the day in that top 4. Do we continue to see that word carry on with this team, momentum?
Yeah, you know, it's actually, I think it's probably a lot of people's a little bit of a surprise to see them breaking out and having this game one, such a solid one as well, claiming that low ground, whether they were able to, because, you know, we've seen a couple of our low ground teams actually go down early that game, so they kind of took advantage of that very, very cleanly. But if that continues to happen, I could definitely see Duke and Edgy doing very, very well throughout the weekend. Kind of a duo flying under a lot of people's radar, but proving already that that shouldn't be the case.
Oh yeah, and again, you could just see in that clip they did so well, and even being put in situations where they were in the water, like jumping around, like just the perfect timing, placing their builds, being very aware of their surroundings. Clean.
Yeah, and I do kind of want to highlight here, looking at this top 10 so far. Remember, this is just game one. Let's not get crazy, but this being game one, there's not a lot of these like higher profile duos you're kind of used to seeing in that top 10. Someone like Bugha and Threats, right?
Right.
After game one, not sitting in the top 10.
Yeah, that's surprising to say the least, because sometimes, you know, some of these duos need to like adjust to some of their surroundings. Maybe it's like an all-spawn situation, but still they made it into the end game, and that's what I want to see out of Bugha. I want to see them make every single end game being uncontested. I want to make sure that they have that off-spawn loop path figured out, and the fact that they made it into this game is already giving me high hopes when it comes to this duo actually being able to take the whole thing.
They're just getting warmed up. All right, guys, we'll give them a little bit more time. It's just game one. I really think that we'll see some amazing gameplay from these guys in the following coming up games.
Yeah, and I think, Jenny, some duos need to do that, right? They need those kind of warm-up games to get going. And sometimes they are day two teams, right?
Yep, that is definitely the case. I've seen that happen multiple times.
Yeah, of course. I mean, remember, everybody just calm down. This is just game one, right? This is kind of the warm-up stage. This is just like, let's have a feeler game and let's see how things shake up. How are we hoping to see maybe game two go? Is it maybe more of the same? Because you don't want to let too many of these games pass, right?
Yeah, I feel like the duo that got a lot of pressure on them right now, Acorn and Cold, didn't necessarily have the game that they were hoping for sure right there. Maybe some Storm Surge. Acorn got knocked very, very early on. Cold almost got off a sick 1v2, just retreated, got the reboot off. Still nothing really came out of that duo when it came to making it into the end game.
Unfortunate events happen. Things happen. You just can't be exactly sure of what's going to happen, even if we have this perfect record on them. We're like, y'all are amazing. That could definitely be the case in these coming up games, and I do believe that that will be the case. They're just getting their footing right. We'll give you the next game.
Yeah, there's a meta within the meta of the competition, right?
Exactly.
So it's all about adapting. But we are geared up and ready to go for game number 2 of the FNCS. Find your seats to the bus. It's game time.
Thank you, Zeke. I got my seat on this battle bus. After that first game, you better bet that I am on the edge of that seat as well.
I'm with you, man. It was crazy. My seatbelt's off. Listen, I'm just waiting for the horn at this point to ring off. Game 2's right in front of us. You saw what happens. Teams that were contested, Kanata Agers, survived, and look at what they turned that entire round into a miracle run.
Yeah, you've seen a lot of teams as well begin to use that Shadow Tracker augment, the flare gun with the Shadow Tracker pistol that you've seen them take very, very late into the game. So that makes me ask the question, did they choose to keep it? Is it something that they're having their blueprint, or were they just that down bad and they just made it work?
Well, the truth is they absolutely made it work. High ground was king there. I thought a team to turn it around. Incredible to see how they had the pulse rifle, right? Everything that you could possibly ask for, and then still fall behind in Surge. I wonder, what is it that they have to do to go ahead and tweak their spot, right? Because they're together. They're one of the few teams that are also literally playing in the same household. They should have the land buff.
Yep, and luckily that we get to find out very, very soon what's going to happen here on game number 2, because you heard the battle bus. It is ready to get going. What adjustments will be made from these players? We got a north to south bus with a little bit of a western lean, so some of these teams that may not have had the best off spawn will get a second chance to go at it again.
Well, I'm already rooting for Cease and Tragics. I'm already rooting for Kanata Agers, Chubbs, and Bryce. Okay, this is a fight we did not get to see kick off. We do know, however, that Shadow was in that endgame with Paper and no Paper. Chopped down Shadow as well, right? And quick. What went wrong? They must have just gotten beat to the drop this time.
Looks like a full-on 50-50 for just one chest. And you don't win the chest, then, well, that's it. It's Kanata and Agers trying to go 2 for 2. Great shots landed from Kanata right out of the gates. Here's that Agers needs some help over on the other side, but he pulls out a big one, taking down Giants. But Sprite, he fires back. He takes down the Kanata. And now at this stage of the game, that Siphon's going to be a must because Agers is hot on his heels. He has the Havoc. He has the tactical pistol. So the Siphon's going to come through. That's going to allow for Sprite to stay alive that much longer. He's doing a good job fighting back. All he has is that compact SMG, even a splash to get him that much closer to full health, but it's not enough to outlast Agers.
Ooh, but the tags, though, there's a team coming in quick. They even shoot the downed body, and Kanata falls there. It's Labucky and Okis sliding on in quick as well, not looking to give them any time. They have kinetic blades too, so if they really want to push, they absolutely can right now.
Yeah, kind of watching a lot of streams, looking at a lot of what people think about how this is going to go down, and they knew this was going to be a Lost Spawn exchange at the racetrack, but Labucky and Okis, they're the ones that are taking advantage of all this. Instead of just landing at their split drop, looting up, they went straight for those kinetic blades, and now that they see a fight was going down, they're just trying to play janitor to clean it up.
I like this, though. Agers does manage to time his exit just sly enough that he doesn't get spotted out. Okis doesn't seem to catch wind of him either, and Bucky and crew are just like, yep, you know what? This is our racetrack now, and they get to claim the true spoils, honestly, the free shield and everything else in between here. What a time. Rotate. Now Kanata and Agers have to really think about that.
Think about so much off spawn. We saw them late in the game.
Hello?
4 helims. What is Duke and Edgy doing to start this one off?
I'm happy we got the replay here. I was gonna call it in. I was gonna call it in. Show me what happened. Duke and Edgy come in. They wrap up Bully's crew. They find Lizix and another team timing these contested areas and taking full advantage.
That wasn't even the first 2 eliminations they got. That was just the ladder, the last 2 that they were able to pick up. So they're already getting their game going. Off to a hot start is Nick and Nyx. Have a very, very similar position with a split drop, having to split loot with another team. So you're going to have to think outside of the box, your loot path and rotations to go ahead and clean up a lot of that loot.
Well, this is a 2-day competition. This is game 2. So for some, the journey is just beginning. You may have a lead, but it's not over yet. But, ooh, the window shot. Commandment just showcasing that game knowledge right there, waiting for his opponents to go ahead and slide his way through. Now, these are metal structures behind you. You notice the Commandment second guesses trying to shoot through that. That's not going to work. Yep, it's going to take a whole lot of pickaxes, and now he gets himself trapped in the box. And no, unfortunately, small mistake. Those walls have a ton of health. That little difference there. That's why he got caught.
Yeah, and then Yusuf just coned him not, and then Yusuf just coned him not once, but 2 different times. Seeking the distance here, and that goes down. He's just surveying for information. Visuals and Braids over towards Anvil Square. This is going to be a 2v2 that is going down against G Money and Dom. I've seen G Money throughout the different weeks of qualifiers. Definitely become a fan, but limit Braids and Visuals. They're no slouches either. They don't back down from any fight, but a couple shots fired off with the shield cake down that they know he is weak.
I want to see what he can do here. Sliding around. Looking for a more defensive play. He gets back to the box. He has plenty of loot here. This is what the fight's over now. You can see Anvil Square yielding out tons of great upgrades here. But the loot cap, man, got to get to it. Yup. I was going to say, it's not really worth sticking around and fighting for. You really got to get back to the farm here. Need your mats. Got to set yourself up for those mid games. You'll see this happen a lot amongst the top tier players. They'll start a fight. Maybe it's just not worth completing, right? You just go ahead and back out. Totally fine.
Saw Mason and Scope there trying to sneak up. Third party, but from one side there. Got to wonder where School is at. That is going to be close by. I mean, Scare Bear there for a moment. They're going to back up just a little bit. Moo's not going to back down at all. He's trying to hold his position. He thinks he does have the advantage, which he does with a little bit of height, but he has to watch out into the distance. That third party is there. But a little bit of a blessing as it allows him to get a little bit more Storm Search in his back pocket before disengaging and rotating all together. These are the things you have to watch out for. If him and Scare don't necessarily have mobility, they can't lay it all on the line in a fight that is in Storm.
You can have the feed there, visual, so it looks like things concluded on that side. Now we get to hop in with Bugha in Threats, who has the bridge themselves here. It's going to be able to cap out their middle. Offensive rotate here. Threats trying to put himself in a more prime position. They do have zone 2, so very excellent spot to be in here. And already in top 10. Not bad.
Just like last game, though. Got a south zone with a western pull. Teams have to start catching on to a lot of where the zone is going very, very early on with the kinetic blades. You don't want to get caught out. Talk about getting caught, though. Kanata, he goes down. That's Iamso who's able to find that first elimination. And once again, just like last game, Agers is left by himself. He was able to put up 60 points in that last game. Some of it as a solo, some of it not. Let's see if he can do it again.
It's crazy how he's actually managed to find a functioning loadout, though, even though he was completely pushed off of the racetrack. Literally bounces back, brings back Kanata. Kanata falls again. And remember, they're in the top 5 right now. Yes, it's only game 1, but an excellent performance for a team that's being contested. You find yourself with such a huge advantage. You do not want to give it away. You already have one of the biggest challenges and hurdles in front of you. It's staying alive for Dragon and Elise. They are staying alive too. They wrap up now. This is the second time now we've seen this team pretty much tackle a crew like Nounsy. They're looking very well here.
Yeah, it's a team that I feel like it's just only a matter of time before they continue to perform at their potential, at their ceiling. They're one of the teams that kind of benefited to the combined regions, going on over to Central. Their ping got that much better. So I expect them to kind of continuously progress as the days go on, as Visuals ends up in a tight spot. He watches Braids go down, and Dom on the other side, he's going to be on the receiving end of a huge trade. He needs that siphon if he's going to be a solo.
You can see that excitement on his face. He was animated. He was feeling pretty good, but Scope, Mason come right on in, finish things up. Dust under the rug. Muzz and Degen, after a game 1 victory, looking pretty good here. Slow and steady wins the race for them. A sleeper duo, undoubtedly. Degen, people forget, have all of that experience of not only playing for placement, but performing in end games. Is one of those sleeper, absolute sleeper duos or individuals that we have here in the Fortnite space.
And you can see where they're kind of setting up on a little bit of a mountain that's already there in the distance. They see Mega's tower high in the sky. That's not something they want to challenge, which is why they put that ramp up. But from one side of the map to the next, Mega City, where you already see Re and Epic Well get that Mythic Havoc pump very, very early on. But we want to see how they're handling Surge. In that last game, it was kind of their demise at the end of the day. And with very, very mirrored zones from the last game, now they have a chance to kind of change things up, adapt on the fly, and see what they're really made of. Because we know they're one of the top contenders in this lobby.
It's crazy to think that Re and Epic will be one of the teams facing the troubles of needing damage when they are literally in one of the most highly sought after POIs, the Mega City. Everyone just playing to that same strategy. Build a single tower base, use your red dot, look for free tags. It's kind of tough when everyone plays so passively and you don't get those freebies out the gate. There's Jamper and crew looking really solid as well. Just trying to set up here, heavy hitting rifle in hand.
Gotta watch out to him and Jamper are separated, you know as well as I do. If a team spots you out as a solo, whether your duo is alive or not, they are going to try to pounce. But the race continues. Hopefully Agers has his sneakers laced up pretty tightly because the racetrack all the way to the other side of the map. That's Quanti and Peterbot. So many duos have a chance to take shots, and now it's Quanti and Peterbot's chance. And if last game has any pressure on them for Quanti and Peterbot, they know they got to deal with Surge. They know they got to go ahead and try to make it to zone, because the longer they stay out here, the harder it is going to be.
At this point, there must be some stat waiting to get added around. Like, Agers has officially potentially survived the most tier 1 duos in a single game. Like, trying to bring back his team. I'm sure there's something just waiting, some record to be broken right now. All, of course, because the Kinetic Blade allows you to just traverse the entire Fortnite space so quickly. But it looks like he will be able to bring back Kanata potentially right now. Yeah. Quanti and Crew say, hey dog, he's gone.
Yeah. I think the only trouble they're going to have is Storm Surge, but if they continue to go to the southern portion of the zone, if it continues to pull south as well, they will end up on a slower side of the zone eventually. Playing with Sphinx, a team that I love to see perform week after week. And you can see during the weekly finals, 8 of the 18 games were won by a contested duo in NA. And that's huge, because a lot of people kind of see it, I'm doomed, I'm a contested, my FNCS is over. This is writing a whole different script right before our very eyes.
Yeah, the thing is, like we said, historically speaking, the stats say if you are contested, you don't have too many chances at, you know, bringing home the full championship. Not a single team has been able to do that. The best placing we've seen is actually around 4th, I believe. So that is about as difficult it can get. But I would say in recent times, it's changing. I think we're seeing better performances from teams that are contested as teams have managed to become more consistent.
Acorn and Cold, team that everybody in Fortnite, or at least the large majority, kind of counts as one of the favorites to repeat back-to-back here at FNCS Major 2. But with only 8 points so far, there was only a couple eliminations in that first game going down before a lot of that placement begins to pick in. They need to start getting on pace here, a pace that we know they can have.
And do keep in mind, let's frame this picture for everyone. This is the most competitive lobby we have ever seen as far as the North American region goes, because we have this full-on merger. The player base is larger. The pool of competitors is just literally better. And for the first time, again, on the North American region, we have multi-regional FNCS champions competing against one another on an online event. So this FNCS for North America really is, on paper, probably the most crazy we've ever seen.
And with only 3 spots up for grabs for that global championship at the end of the year. Yeah, that's why teams are making that big risk. Degen and Muzz winning game number 1, taking high ground very, very late in that game. Now they're going for Rift Island early, but another team is slowly but surely trying to close that same distance. While what was free in game number 1 for Reet and Epicwell may not necessarily be the same here for Degen and Muzz.
We talked about that from game 1 to game 2. There's going to be players and teams that become more and more bold with their decisions. These Rift Islands are not just going to be given away. Teams are going to begin fighting for it. When you need to take your game and make the best of it, you have to go for the best odds, and best odds means get the best weapons.
That's the 2 teams that even land near Shattered Slabs, and that's Death and Tahi that have that vault loot already. And if Degen and Muzz know it's there, they know to watch out. That one-shot potential can end your run in a singular second. And that's why you see them trying to break through. They're trying to get the piece control underneath their own as Degen kind of repositions. I don't think this is a fight they want to go ahead and continue to take.
No, the margin of error is so slim.
He doesn't even have a shotgun.
Not only that, they're in first place. There's quite literally no reason for them to fall this early in the game when you have an entire game of Fortnite in front of you. How much is that rifle worth to you? Not that much. They did just fine without it.
Yeah, see if they can kind of perform with both the vault loot and the Rift Island. This is going to be something that's inevitable. It's Dragon and Elige. We saw them win their off-spawn exchange to start this game off. They got 8 more points to their total and quickly rotating from point A to point B, and always trying to gather that information of a team just trying to rotate for free on the outskirts. They're going to go ahead and land a couple of shots, but with so many superstars in this lobby, Kelly, I got to go ahead and throw it to you to go ahead and let us know what some of the other teams are doing.
Well, if we're talking about superstars, then of course we have to talk about the multi-regional champion Muzz. Not only representing Oceania, but also a North American East champion, and now looking to claim his spot as the NA Central champion. And grabbing that first VR from game 1 is a great start to it. And with the zone pulling back again over to Shattered Slabs, game number 2 might be in their pocket.
It's an excellent breakdown there, right? And we did see they gave up the Rift Island. So they actually said, hey, listen, let's just get on out of there. Judging by the loadout, Ager's loadout did get a little bit better. He ends up a shotgun now. So at least there were some upgrades for them, but it's cost him so much. He hasn't quite found the material that he needed. They were already desperately trying to farm their way back in. Aegis and Kanata right now are back in the round, though. They can fight back for this.
Yeah, 2 different teams now trying to make it a focus. But that north side, that team that was trying to focus them and make a mean sandwich, they get kind of flued past on the other side, and it's forcing them to rotate. You don't want to be the team that falls behind on the congested part of the zone. And Aegis and Kanata, they have so much to worry about. Storm Surge, matting up, getting resources, and rotating the zone. And that's why you see teams like Epicwell and Reet, they're flying above. They're trying to get there first so they can continue to gatekeep these teams out.
Yep. On free time, they may be friends, but here in this lobby, everyone is an enemy. Reet and Epicwell right now have to really claw their way back from the gutters right now. They're currently standing in 29th place. The Surge is now active. Give it a second. Let that number on the side upgrade. Wow. There it is. We see it. 53 below. Once again, for this second time in a row now, unexpected to us, Epicwell and Reet find themselves under the Storm Surge.
similar zones in back-to-back games, forcing this team to move from Mega City to the west. But you talked about these champions, not Acorn and Cold, but Bolts and Thoric. The reigning champions from the former NA West region before we combine into just NA, and the shots are firing through. Reach trying to escape, but he goes down. That leaves a lot of pressure on Epicwell, and you can see he's not rotating straight to be the savior. He's just trying to stay alive. You got Bolt and Thoric on one side, Yamzo and Rise on the other, and a whole nother team right in front of them. So Epicwell, as a solo, definitely has his work cut out.
Man, the struggle that he is on right now, you can see it playing out. Yes, he finds his tag, but he is a man down. He take this fight by himself. Potentially, I think he's eyeing out Larssen. I believe he thinks he's a solo. And he's feeling competitive enough to go in and push forward. Doesn't quite find him. Almost caught him there. Now things start to slow down. He did hear one splash go down. Yep, that's going to be enough for him to pump the brakes here. Sees that there's a player also inside the building. He is surrounded. Danger everywhere.
Yeah, they know somebody else is there. That's Larssen and User. They were the ones who took down Yamzo literally just seconds ago, and that's why you see Rise just trying to hide, minimize the amount of audio cues that he has given up to try to stay alive. These solo points mean so much in a two-day tournament. And that's exactly why you see Agers literally flying around the map as a solo just to get Kanata back, not once, but 2 different times in the same game. If they're able to pull off a victory royale, I feel like that might be history in the making.
I've been talking about it. They could be one of the first teams to ever take a team down. But Quanti finds Agers and Kanata charging up that kinetic blade. Kanata gets crushed on the way out, and Agers sticks behind to play defense here and fend off Quanti. He has to put down enough tags. He might just get it. Yes, there it is, the Siphon. He's going to keep him alive. They much needed this loot. Oh my gosh, what a pickup that was. It might have been actually the best ambush that could have happened to them because Quanti was a literal loot llama.
You gotta go ahead and give a little bit of credit, though.
That was crazy.
That augment, the mythic munitions. So even though Ager was down on loot, he was able to get that mythical tactical pistol and already putting it to use because that one broke through the cover and started off a lot of that damage. As Epicwell, 6 total FNCS champions, most of any player here in this lobby. This is what somebody is made of. This is what makes somebody a champion. And all these points that Epicwell could potentially pick up as a solo is really going to mean the difference from a team with their backs up against the wall with only 2 games played and a team that has a little bit more comfortability on their side.
I mean, there's an apple there. I don't know what you want to do with that, Epicwell.
Apple, take keep the doctor away.
Take it. Do something. I don't know, dude. He's got a lot of space here. Just a single wood piece of build to work with now. And it is a tough position to be in. It was Kanata and Agers who just slid in from outside the zone. Man, Kanata must be scratching his head here at, is he lucky or unlucky? I don't know, right? Is he having one of the toughest games, or one of the greatest games? The fact that he is back in it and able to have a chance at maintaining the top 5. I didn't expect him to be doing this well, but look, they are at now 3 eliminations.
Yeah, that's huge because I said it in game 1. Kanata, probably one of the best solo players in the game. Agers say, yo, hold on, hold my slurp juice. You are not going to just disrespect me like that. And then he now is making solo play after solo play. Surprising, though, that they are kind of close, even down on Surge, flirting with that line. Even though they have 3 eliminations, it goes to show that everybody in this lobby may not be the healthiest at this stage of the game.
Yep, for sure. There it is. Surge is going to get active. To conclude the story, though, Pollo does take out Epicwell, so he is now down and out. One less big team to worry about. Let's jump on over to Duke, who now has found himself pretty much trailing in the lead here. Another big game for them. 5 eliminations, and we're only just now getting to this end game here. Good chunk of teams do have to fall before we hit that next placement threshold, but we are getting very close now.
Team that, honestly, you got to expect them to perform. At almost every stage in the game, it's just about consistency that comes out for them. You saw them place at the top of the leaderboard in that first game. That's the amount of confidence that you can hold on from one game to the next. It's Jeff and Rapid. They don't have any eliminations yet. They're 107 below the damage threshold, trying to take advantage of anybody flying through the sky, trying to get in the zone, even if that is going to be Bugha. They spotted him out as a solo. Now they're trying to close the distance and take advantage while they can. The harder this one gets is when everybody is close together. But you see they got the farthest pull of the zone. It's now or never for them.
I was going to ask you, what do you think about that? They've gone the complete opposite way.
And that could be a blessing in disguise because while that whole right side of the map is so congested, it's hard to go through, the left side doesn't have that many people, but it makes it easier to spot people when you look back. And Jeff was on the receiving end of so much damage, but it's a trade for him. That's the way he's viewing it. Still 12 damage to go. He's 168 now thanks to Rapid finding a couple of shots on the other side. But with everybody already beginning to rotate, that's going to put them in such a tricky position of when and where they're going to find their own rotation.
I will say you love to see both pairs or sides of the duo putting up the numbers and performing. Jumping on into Tahi and Def here, 2 eliminations for them right now. It's a very tight spot to be in here. They're very much below the surge. Shots are coming in as well. That's only the beginning of their troubles here as the dust starts to settle. Thoric is going to fall to Sphinx there. Batch finds 1-2, so big fights going on here. Tahi reacts, though, onto Pump. Pump thought he was going to get himself a nice little tag there. No, sir.
Yeah, it's one you don't expect for somebody to have that Mythic Havoc Pump, the one-shot potential. Trashy daring enough to try to peek back. A trade-in shot's going to come through, but now he's on the advantage side as he takes down Tahi as well. That's going to be a huge elimination because not only is he able to get Pump back into the game, he got himself his own Mythic Havoc.
That was good, though. You know, Trashy, Pump, the way they played this one out. Yeah, Pump got hurt, but he calls it. He said, nah, bro, finish him. That was a lucky shot. Don't worry about it. That was pretty crazy. Let's jump into Clarity G. Casker here, finding themselves in the line of sight of Batman Booga here. They just lice him up just like that. Batman Booga, no, scratches the head. Tough. Getting caught out on a rotate right now. Tough position to be in. You hate to get laced up like that.
Yep, from Batman Booga, though, to Booga himself. Him and Threats just going through 54 points so far. Mythic munitions as well. And that's a great chance to really find the surge that you're looking for. Even though they're already above, you're able to fire shot after shot after shot and just laser people out of the sky. Even though Booga's going to try to lead the charge, leave Threat to deal all the damage. As Kanata is down. Aegis once again by himself. But honestly, Kanata said it himself a few seasons ago in an interview. I love my teammate. He can pop off. I have all the trust in the world. And now he's going to have to trust him again.
And we're really seeing it play out right now. And not only that, Kanata, he was brought back, finds an elimination before getting taken out again there too. So this is now 4 elims for them. They're right back into the game, but still below that Storm Surge threshold. This could be the thing that topples them over. It really could be now. We've seen them overcome mountain after mountain, but how many times can they jump this hurdle? How much stamina do they have? Azers here, looking to battle out. Eyes up, high ground says, wait, that's just one player. Thinks about it, misses though. They don't build out in front of him, and he does touch down just in time to go ahead and heal up. But let's jump to Fat. Let's jump to Pam still. The French Canadians are here.
Already popping off in game number 1, trying to have that repeat performance. Over 600 above, and immediately trying to get to the front side of zone as Aegis goes down to a Liege. Acorn and Cold, they're able to take down a Liege himself, leaving Dragon as a solo. And finally, they're proven they are the team to beat, but they still got more to do. Cold gets chunked out. Acorn has to be the IGL and lead the way and allow for Cold to buy some time and stabilize himself in this position. That's already going to come to fruition as Duke also by himself, trying to look for the backside of the zone, trying to catch anybody off guard, but he doesn't necessarily need this elimination. It's information that's important to him.
On high ground, Booga and Threats get taken out though, and the flare guns are going out as well, so the information is given out to the lobby here. Bryce, Charles on an ultimate low here, trying to size their way around the sides here. Threats and Booga have to fight back for it. It's a battle for high ground, and they do manage to maintain some positioning, but they are punished in the process. What could have been a win was fought back from Zypha in on one. The West crew is here and ready to fight. Duke finds Bucky there and the full finish too. Make that 7 for him now.
At least them, they have Okus trying to stay alive and catch some points. Cold goes down to Poyo. That's going to leave Acorn by himself, but we know he was already in shambles, so it might be a blessing in disguise for allow Cold, or Acorn, I should say, that freedom to move around as a solo where you don't have to worry about anybody else. Clarity, Caskers, they get sent back to the lobby, and Poyo, who week after week, all 3 weekly finals, has been surprising us with him in Sphinx, but now he still has some more to prove as a solo.
Big names under the belt there, but Pamstel is now by himself too. No teammate inside here. Elevation's looking a little spooky here. He's like, I gotta get down, but I don't want to be the first to touch down. Acorn tries to go for it, gets caught on the way on down. Flied, swatted out the sky there by the hands of Bryce here, and Duke, another solo. Look at this, 11 players up, 8 duos. There are all types of solos here in play right now.
Yeah, this is huge though for Duke, because you saw him at the top of the leaderboard in that last game, get a good spot. Now he's trying to do it again. Him and Edgy, they need this. Bugha drops down low. We saw them give up high very, very early on with very, very little help to work with. Threads gets tossed towards the backside, but Bugha's going to solidify himself into the top 4. Can he go even farther into this game? Miro's right above. A huge tag's going to come through. Our final 2 teams, Duke by himself, tries to chop down Bryce. Chubbs is underneath as well. They're trying to make a Duke sandwich as he's trying to get out alive. Bryce kinetic blades up. He takes a lot of damage to the storm. Duke can do it. A knock's going to go through, but it's not enough. Duke goes down. Bryce and Chubbs take game 2.
That was crazy. For a moment there, it could have been his, but Chubbs managed to do just enough damage for Bryce to go ahead and finish things up with a 1-top there. What a game that was, and a ridiculous exchange of hands, I may add.
Yeah, it was kind of going to show that Chubbs and Bryce, even though they might not necessarily be the most known, they might not necessarily be seen as the superstars of the region, that means absolutely nothing to them, because whether they're going to take it by storm, take it by surprise, they're going to take it no matter what.
It's crazy because it could have ended right there. Bryce and Chubbs had a moment to fight back, and they took advantage of it. They found Bugha too. What a way for them to close it out.
Yep, with after 2 games, the leaderboard is already being shaken up. And Zeke, we need you, man. We need you to make some sense of this.
Listen, Jacob, for a moment there, I just blinked and I feel like I missed it, you know? Chubbs was just smooth, dude. This guy was slick with it. Just boom. Kinetic blade, boom, boom. Eliminations left, right, and center. But for Bryce and Chubbs, hey, a Victory Royale and 8 eliminations, Vivid, on a stage like this, with a caliber of duos like this.
Yeah.
Statement.
Well, we actually saw Bugha and Threats were on the high ground, and then they got shot out. And I feel like, Bryce and Chubbs, they just took full advantage of that, ended up on the higher ground. Since it was so late when they actually were able to get up onto that layer, they were just able to build out for the rest of the lobby, let everybody else fight. And it was close there at the end. I think both of them collectively had like less than 100 HP, and Duke was alive, almost, giving him the chance to 1v2 them. But there you have it. They're just built all the way up here, waiting for everybody else to kind of fight it out on the low ground.
You were saying, too, like, if you blink, you're going to miss it. We could just see in this replay. Chubbs' eyes was locked on everybody. I mean, just literally could see where everybody was very aware of where all the players were, and was getting elimination back to back. It was very cool to see, but if you look too quick, you're going to miss it. So I'm excited to, I'm so pumped that they were able to perform so well. They weren't some of the top teams we talked about, but again, we can have some really big performances from some of the underdogs.
Yeah, I like that, and that's kind of where I'm at as well, right? A lot of these higher profile duos we're just used to seeing haven't quite come online just yet. Now, this is only game 2. We have 12 total, right? But still, when we look at the standings, I feel like this is kind of starting to paint a little bit of a picture for us. Take a look here. Dukes and Edgy, they are now in that #1 spot. Now, for Bryce and Chubbs, they're up 9 places after that single game, right? Those eliminations, look at this, 12? Vivid, those are extremely valuable.
Yeah, 12, but somebody who has even more, getting more value out of the eliminations, 4 points each, going to be Duke and Edgy. And, I feel like it's just all about momentum when it comes to the off-spawn situation. We didn't really get to see much of it actually unfold that game. They, left their spawn with 4 eliminations somehow. Not really sure, what's going on. I knew that the south side of the map was going to be this fest where people were trying to steal loot from people. And right now, Duke and Edgy aren't having any of it, and they're just eliminating anybody who kind of dares to do that.
I love the aggression that we're seeing from them in a positive way, again, because they're not making they're making very smart decisions in rotates. And again, we can just see this. The way that they play this game is so intelligent, so smart, and that's why we've seen them on the screen so much recently. Jacob has been talking about them, and I honestly think that they're going to continue to keep talking about them, and we'll see a lot more highlights from them in the future.
Yeah, of course, a lot of these eliminations coming from Duke himself as a solo. Those solo performances mean so much when it comes to these FNCS lobbies.
That almost went a different direction.
Exactly,
as well.
yeah.
Right.
Duke almost did pull that off. And for him and Edgy, Edgy looking for that FNCS title to be where they are, we just have to hope that that momentum continues. I do want to continue looking down the standings of someone like Hamstu and Fetch. I mean, these guys are some of the most wholesome players on the scene here in NA. To see them in that third place spot, up to 7 placements as well, you just need one good game, right? And then you could be looking to contest for those top 3 spots.
Yeah, and a team that, can definitely have those pop-off games is going to be Bugha and Threads, up 7 places as well, finding themselves in the top 5. Now, that game was really, really good for them. They had this 8th zone rotation where they found the dead side on the west side of the zone, were able to make that rotate, pretty much just free. And then when they got through that rotate, they pretty much just built up on the high ground, which you can see that position right here, right now, also using that Mythic pistol to get some tags in. Unfortunately for them, though, they did get chopped out here. They were probably going to win this game if this didn't actually happen to them. Nonetheless, though, still a good game from them.
I was going to mention that. Yeah, getting chopped out. It's just it's unfortunate. It happens. Yeah. But again, if they can figure out the perfect time to take that height in these future games, I'm curious to see if they will continue going for height, if they'll play mid-ground. What do you think, David?
Yeah, and if it's anything that we know about NA throughout this season, throughout the weeks, it's that they have been more potent to actually shoot towards some of those teams that are building those high ground layers. Of course, this season has just been about just the floor and the cone, basically. So a lot of these teams are really, really easy to shoot out. Just a matter of somebody's going to do it or not. That game, somebody did it.
As we kind of continue this conversation of moving up,